We are live. Let me let Dom in. I apologize, guys. We're having a bit of technical difficulties here on our end. Our usual streaming software is not cooperating with us, but welcome to another episode of the Solana Circuit. We're on Solana Circuit number 25, believe it or not, David. How's it make you feel?
I feel like I don't have enough fingers and toes to count that high, which is kind of crazy. You know, we've been doing this for a minute, brother. It's getting kind of wild. Today, though, we have not one but two guests, both from EasyA, and I'm kind of excited to talk to them today because I did not know that this was a thing that existed, actually. Like, until you're like, hey, we're bringing these guys on the Solana Circuit. I'm like, who? Then I started looking into it, and I was like, oh, actually, this is cool as hell. And I wish I knew about it sooner. So I think this is going to be cool. You guys know I'm a nerd about stuff and like hacking on things. So yeah, kind of looking forward to talking to them. So Dom, Phil, I don't know how you guys want to run this. You want to kind of like alternate questions, like trade things back and forth? How do you guys like to do this kind of stuff?
Things off. We know roughly which ones we want to talk about.
Cool. Sounds good to me. Well, I guess do you guys kind of want to just go ahead and introduce yourselves and EasyA just as a whole? And I know we're kind of getting started late, so normally we'd done a little bit of the chit chat already, but I still want to give you guys a chance to say hi and kind of tell us what you're all about. You know?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having us on the show, David and Nate. It's a pleasure to be on. Our background: first got into crypto in 2013, stumbled across the Bitcoin white paper, and I was absolutely fascinated by it. I was actually studying for my exams at the time at school, and I went home that evening, locked myself in my parents' basement, and just learned everything that I could about the stuff. So I was fascinated by this idea of having this peer-to-peer form of electronic cash with no intermediary, and I started hooking together my first rig. So got my PSU, CPU, GPU, and at the time, that was roughly an okay setup. And then along came FPGAs, ASICs, and boom, it really grew from there. And started mining Bitcoin, Litecoin, Feathercoin, Primecoin, which also were very fun at the time. And I think of those, only Bitcoin and Litecoin have made it through to present day. And I mean, I'm sure the others are still around somewhere, but those are the only ones that people actually know about. Ended up learning about smart contracts because I was doing my undergrad at Cambridge University in the UK. So Dom and I we're brothers, and we both grew up in London. Ended up doing my winning scholarship to Cambridge. 2016, another engineering friend of mine came up to me and said, hey, smart contracts, this is how the world is going to run. And we both agreed then and there that absolutely the world is just going to be governed completely by smart contracts. I think it might have taken a little bit longer than we might have expected, given it's, pretty much coming to about 10 years on now. And still the whole world doesn't run on smart contracts, but I still believe it's definitely inevitable. Afterwards, moved out to New York after Cambridge, after coming top there, and then became one of the youngest people to qualify as an attorney out here in New York. And then afterwards, co-founded EasyA. But yeah, I can hand over to Dom to give his intro as well. He headed out to the States, came out here a little bit earlier than I did.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I obviously I'm Phil's brother and co-founder at EasyA, brother in life, I guess. But yeah, I started, of course, in the UK together with Phil, and then after high school, I came out to the US to do my undergrad. So I studied finance at Wharton, and then worked in finance as well afterwards, actually, at Blackstone and a couple other places. Was actually one of the first hires at Travis Kalanick, who founded Uber, his new company called Cloud Kitchens. So really was one of the first hires there, and helped build that up from day zero essentially. And then Phil and I came together and decided we should start a company together. We'd done a couple things in the past, and we thought, okay, that was a good time to really sort of go all in and solve a big problem in crypto that we saw, which was people not so many smart people essentially starting blockchains, raising a ton of money, but they're not actually having enough developers or cool projects built on them. And that's really sort of, the genesis of EasyA, which is all about bringing developers and cool projects into the ecosystem, onto these different blockchains, and of course the genesis of Kickstart ultimately as well, which we're happy to share more about. But yeah, that's a bit about myself, a bit about sort of how we came to found EasyA, and yeah, very excited to dive in more of this pod.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, that's also how I got my start in crypto, was mining Ethereum back when Ethereum is proof of work. I've always been a computer guy. I've loved computers, and it's been a big reason
I
I
can see
got
the
into
old Mac in the
crypto.
back. Very
Yeah,
cool.
man. This is a 1980 something Macintosh. I got the
Wow.
keyboard, the mouse. I
Does it
got it
still
from
work?
some old dude for like $150. It was an absolute steal.
Amazing.
Beautiful decor. It's the favorite thing I own in this house. It's amazing. Um, but yeah, pretty cool you got into mining as well. I imagine the last name you guys have, you're related. Are you guys brothers, or what's the relation there?
Yeah, we're brothers. Brothers and co-founders, so Brofounders.
Nice, nice. Do you guys still get in sibling squabbles over the business?
Not so much. I mean, we co-founded 2 startups before together as well, while we were both at university, and so this is it's not our first rodeo in the lingo.
Very cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. I was again, like I was doing some research into you guys, kind of prepping for this, and I was like, man, you guys kind of have some great backgrounds. Like you guys have been around for forever, right? Just like individually, and have pretty great pedigrees, honestly. Just like you said, you were going to Cambridge. You work both. You both worked like in TradFi or TradFi Foundation things in tech. It's pretty impressive. I was kind of like, wow. Obviously, like you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, like you got fascinated with blockchain and Bitcoin, and kind of realized smart contracts were going to be the future, or on Solana we call them programs. Got to be a little bit pedantic, you know what I mean? But I'm kind of curious, what decided you to what drew you to deciding? It's a bit of a mouthful. To focus on sort of education specifically, like as it has to do with crypto, where did that kind of idea come from?
Yeah, really good question. I think it comes out of the evolution of how we've evolved within crypto as well. I mean, as you said, we've been here almost forever, almost since the beginning. Missed the beginning by about maybe a year or two, a couple of years, but really there from very early on, and started off with contributing to the network. This was through mining and setting up all of those rigs. 2016, just was absolutely, again, fascinated by the vision, smart contracts. Then when we came to it again, this was again a couple of years later, we came and looked at the industry again, and we were like, what's missing now? Well, we've got smart contracts, and by and large, we actually have the technology. And around 2017, 2018, that was a crazy time. All the ICOs, people had raised a ton of money for these blockchains, and it basically raised all the money. And then a couple of years after that, around 2022, the technologies were pretty much there. And we took a look and we're like, nobody's building anything though. Like 2020, around that time, we still didn't have that killer app. And we were together with some of our other founder friends who were in Web3, and we were chatting. And they were like, yeah, like we built all of this incredible tech, but we still don't have any killer apps. Like we still don't have that app which is going to bring everybody into the space. And obviously, later on, a couple of years after that, we had ChatGPT came out, which really proved how you can have one single app which brings everybody into one particular technology. Like everybody's in AI, it's because of ChatGPT.
Yep.
And obviously this was before ChatGPT when we were having these conversations, but we realized that we needed to build a way where we could onboard people who would then build that, onboard really smart people. In Dom and my prior startups, what we'd done was we also scaled an application, 2 applications actually before, that really brought and scaled across great campuses like Cambridge, Oxford, Stanford, UPenn, like all these student networks. And we knew that we could replicate that in Web3. And that's where we decided, look, let's build an app which ends up onboarding people. And our mission from the very beginning has been, let's bring 1 billion people into Web3. The very start of that was the EasyA app, where we partnered with Solana together with Ripple, Stellar, Polkadot, Polygon, pretty much you name it, all the blue chip L1s to help get applications and people building using them.
Awesome. So talking about killer apps a little bit, do you think there's anything in crypto that you would consider like qualified to be a killer app? Or would you say that the killer app is already out there among us?
Really good question. The first thing that comes to mind, my initial reaction is that the killer app isn't necessarily there yet, but the killer primitives are. And that's why I'm very, very excited. I think that the killer primitives are things like stablecoins. Right? I think that everybody talks about those, but they don't necessarily understand that the stablecoin isn't necessarily the application itself. But then you've got now really cool applications like we were catching up with one of our other founder friends. This was in Miami, Consensus Miami, and he was like, "Have you heard of Felix Pago? Like, have you guys heard of it? It's like a remittances app." And they use stablecoins, and it's like, okay, wow, okay, that's really, really cool, and people are using this, and they don't even necessarily know that stablecoins are being used. It's just how it works. New applications like that are really, really coming out. I'm not going to be dismissive to other applications. I think we've had some really, really cool ones. I think we've had lots of applications that have now onboarded people. But I think, we definitely still haven't had that ChatGPT moment where it's like everybody understands, oh, I've got to use crypto because it is that much better. It's like people talking about how much better it is in a similar way to how we were before ChatGPT really came out and made it real for people.
Yeah, David and I have talked about this on the stream a lot, is the fact that like stablecoins are kind of the killer feature of crypto. Like since the beginning, Bitcoin, the whole purpose of it was global permissionless money, right? And the things that are being done with stablecoins.
It's in the white paper title, right?
Yeah, it's literally in the
like
white
a peer-to-peer.
paper title.
Yeah,
It's their
funny,
electronic cash. Yeah,
we've come full circle to that. Like we tried a bunch of different experiments in crypto with smart contracts and DeFi protocols and lending and borrowing and all that. And it kind of feels like we're just going back to what crypto was initially for, which is global permissionless money. So I totally agree with you. So with a lot of crypto apps being kind of more desktop, laptop focused, what made you guys want to go mobile first?
Yeah, I mean, our goal really when we founded EasyA, like we mentioned at the beginning, was really to bring a ton of new people into the space. And the best place to do that is by reaching people where they spend the time the most, which is their phones. So ultimately for us, we knew we had to make a mobile app that would actually enable anyone to learn about crypto, learn about blockchain right from their phones, and make the app free. So it's really the most accessible way to learn about crypto, full stop. Anyone can download it, anyone can start learning, very much how you would on Duolingo. So Duolingo became so popular really because it was one of the first ways people could learn a new language from their phone. And that's very much the secret to EasyA's success too. It's being able to just open up your phone, learn about these different amazing blockchains that we've selected to partner with right there. And ultimately, you can get stuck in, you can then learn about it, and you can actually then, decide whether you want to go deeper on your computer. So for us, that was the key to EasyA's success. And I think that's what a lot of people, when they really think about onboarding, have missed out. Most applications, like you mentioned, are on desktop. Now you're seeing more and more mobile apps, but really a couple of years ago, there wasn't really anything for mobile in crypto. And I think that's really what people needed and still really what people need. Ultimately, most people, just, do things on their phone.
There we go. Sorry, I have two different mute buttons I'm not used to. But it's like empirically, obviously that's true, right? Like that is where most people spend the most amount of time, just kind of like interfacing with the online world day to day. It's always funny to me when people say that though, because like I am an exception to that rule, where I usually like my phone is charging somewhere over there. I'm working on my computer, and then maybe I go pick up my phone when I'm like not working. You know what I mean? But like for most of the day, I'm not actually looking at my phone at all. So it's like I know that that's not true of like most people, but it always just kind of strikes me as funny. I was like, wait, people are mostly on their phones. That's just it's such a foreign concept to me. Like I don't know, it's just always a little bit funny. But.
Well, I think the nice thing is, it's why podcasts became so popular, because people can do it anywhere. You don't have to be sat down on a laptop. You can be on the subway. You can be, traveling. You can be in an Uber, and you can just start learning and consuming that content, as opposed to having to open up your laptop and I guess, yeah, if you work from home and, you are able to be on your computer a lot more, then it's, a little bit different. But I think for most people who are on the move, it's pretty helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely like makes complete sense, and it's easy to go find numbers on this. Like, I'm definitely not challenging or contesting the claim. It's just, I guess maybe I'm a little bit of an oddball here.
Also, contrarian move though, and we had a lot of people when we were just first starting out who were saying, why don't you build this on desktop? It's like all coders are just on their desktop. But we knew ourselves from the way that we use things, like coders are just normal people too, programmers are normal people. And actually it was funny,
normal might be a stretch sometimes.
at the time when we really like did a big redesign and really had a big push on the app, we were working out of San Francisco, out of this other Web3 co-working space, actually just opposite, interestingly enough, the old OpenAI offices in the Pioneer building. But we were chatting with friends, and they were also, like, oh, why don't you, why is this on mobile? And then, like, I think this would have been, around that summer, we were also at the Replit offices. And so for anybody who doesn't know what Replit is, it's like one of the fastest growing IDEs right now. It's fully browser based. And they made a very early bet as well on mobile. They were like, you know what? People are going to program on their mobile phones. It's going to look kind of weird now because people are going to say everybody programs on their computers. But putting their IDE on mobile when nobody else was on mobile was one of the single biggest drivers of growth for them. And it has been one of the single biggest drivers of growth for us as well. And so I think it's something that a lot of us in the Valley at the time saw pretty early on. And obviously I'm very, very grateful that we were able to be with those people as well, building this out. And ultimately, we've seen that play out as well, where we've skyrocketed to well over 1 million users. Growth is extremely fast because we built the first ever smart contract deployment from a mobile phone, actually on Solana. And we have that on the different blockchains as well. Sorry, it's on mute.
I feel like it keeps automatically doing that. Anyways, no, that's really, really cool. And yeah, like Solana's obviously like focused on this quite a bit as well. There have been like multiple projects for, web native IDEs and things like that as well. I'm sure you're probably familiar with several of them. I know there was the guys who made like Ore, I believe, have like a builder zone, or I'm not sure. It's bookmarked somewhere. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But and obviously then you have like Seeker and stuff like that. But can you walk me through a little bit how you kind of use your guys' app, your process for taking a builder who's kind of starting from zero, right? Coming in maybe with very little programming knowledge at all to begin with. Not just like not being familiar with the sort of different architectures of Web3. How do you take them, like, what does the process look like from helping them learn to build something and then deploy it from mobile into sort of, whatever their first finished state is? Like, how do you help them like choose which chain to develop on? Like, what's the sort of like flow for users through this?
Yeah, so when a user opens up the app, they're completely free to decide which blockchain they want to learn about. So whether that is Solana, that is the XRP Ledger, that is Sui, Aptos, etc., they're all just on the home screen laid out. Ultimately, these are all blockchains that we have partnered in because we believe they're special in some way. We have a lot of blockchains who want to work with us, but I think just because of the nature of the space, it's very hard to obviously partner with blockchains that you don't believe in. And we don't want to obviously push our learners and give them opportunity to learn about things that we don't believe in personally as well. So these are all typically the top blockchains anyway. And ultimately what we do is we let people decide what they want to learn about. And so they swipe across, they choose the perfect match, and then they ultimately can decide which one they want to delve into deeper. So it's typically, 5 to 8 parts to each sort of module, so to speak. And then once they get to the end, they should have a pretty good understanding of how the blockchain works and be in a position where they can actually build their first application. Like Phil mentioned, we built the first smart contract deployments in the EasyA app, and that was actually on Solana, which is really cool. And ultimately, that was super popular because of people like, oh, wow, can actually do this for the first time from my smartphone and, push something onto the blockchain, which is amazing. We also offer token rewards for some of the different challenges when we do different drops in the app. So people can actually learn and they can earn tokens, very similar to Coinbase Earn. But our focus really is on developers and really getting those super talented folks learning about the different blockchains, which is what we've seen is one of the major goals, of course, of all the blockchains out there. Coinbase Own is great. It's just, I guess, a bit more high level. So we really want to take developers on a sort of more in-depth journey through the blockchain and really learn about it on a technical level. But of course, we have a lot of retail investors too who use the app to just learn about what they hold. And that's actually a really interesting thing that we started to see over the last couple of years. Shortly after we launched, was like, it's not only developers who want to learn about this technology, it's also just regular people who don't even work in blockchain who want to figure out, oh, okay, I bought Sol, I bought XRP, I bought these different tokens, and what do they actually do? They're not really just, tokens. They actually have a function and utility, and these are all the different things that they can do. And so that's why it's been really helpful for a lot of these people as they've, sort of deepened their crypto journey and really sort of gone down the rabbit hole to actually figure these things out and learn all about it. So it's a really great place for people to learn and also explore other blockchains. I think oftentimes when you get into the space, you get taught about one particular blockchain and you don't realize, oh, there are actually a bunch of different blockchains too. Typically when people come into crypto, it's either through, Solana maybe, or it's through, the XRP community because, you heard your friends have it, or it's through maybe Sui or Aptos because they hosted an event, at your different college, for example, or in your area. And for us, we've seen a lot of people who come into the app for one blockchain and actually end up leaving, building on another one. So I think that's a really cool thing as well. And that's really all in line with our goal of, our vision of a multi-chain future, because it won't necessarily just be one blockchain that rules. There will be a couple different ones, maybe with different use cases and different people go to different ones to do different things. But it's not like, the world's going to run on one blockchain only, just like you see, different applications on the internet, different cars and all sorts of different things. There isn't really, one particular blockchain people should learn about at the expense of, ignoring all of the others.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up Coinbase Earn because that was a really big educational piece for me when I was first getting into crypto. Is like, I mean, you were literally being paid to learn about these different cryptos, so like, why not do it? But genuinely,
Exactly.
like being exposed to those assets, like, you get these tokens for free, right? They're in your Coinbase account. You notice that, oh my God, this one's up 100%. Like maybe I should do more research into that. So there's like direct financial upside to actually learning and contributing to these protocols. And like Coinbase Earn, I miss it, man. I thought that was such a cool program, and I think it contributed a lot to a lot of people who were in crypto today. Like that was probably the first touch point people had for crypto was downloading the Coinbase app, getting some free crypto, and then just kind of diving in from there. I mean, obviously it was a little easier to onboard people when the tokens were going up, as opposed to now they only go down, which is unfortunate. But kind of going off of that, how are you guys thinking about education in kind of this bear market-esque state that we're in? Are you guys seeing that users are more hungry for educational content because there's not much to do as far as trading goes, or what has activity been like over the last few months?
It's been great. I think, looking at our EasyA consensus hackathon in Miami last week, one of our biggest ever. So amongst our community, it has been absolutely breakneck growth because ultimately, I think the key thing that smart developers understand, and that maybe we've also been able to educate people on, is like, this is the best time when people can actually really stand out amidst all the noise. And I think that that's also one of the really, really cool things, and we'll come on to Kickstart in a moment, obviously, but it's one of the cool things about the current market right now, where actually the fundamentals have literally never been better, but it's totally not reflected in the market. So there's kind of this disconnect, which I think a lot of really smart people understand is actually quite a cool time to be playing at.
Yeah, I think
I
David and I see that too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, David, but I think we were about to say the same thing.
Yeah, I think
That's
so.
totally what we're seeing too, is like the excitement on the ground level of crypto, like the innovation that's being built, and the amount of people participating in hackathons and in these different education events. I mean, it's at an all-time high. Like stablecoin volumes at an all-time high, like developer activities at an all-time high. the only thing that's not matching is a token price, which bear markets are for building. So I mean that phrase is very literal in the
Yeah.
sense of where we're at today.
And we've seen it before. It's very well documented. A16Z talk about all the time the price innovation cycle. Prices go up, developers come in, prices go down, developers stay, and then prices go up again, more developers come in. And it's just how the industry works. And the smart money as well clearly knows what's up. Like A16Z just raised $2.2 billion for their new crypto fund. Horn Ventures as well, and we're sitting at a couple of $1 billion right now in dry powder that's about to be deployed. Well, and it's already being deployed as well. We see what's going on with Circle and their recent fundraise as well for their ARC token and a couple of others across the board as well. So smart money knows what's going on.
Yeah, this has been something I've been keeping an eye on lately because there have started to be like a lot more like public fundraising announcements, not just for like the funds themselves, raising for their next fund, or sorry, I'm blanking on the actual term, but sort of the next cohort, which still isn't the right term. Anyways, that's going to bother me. So we're seeing kind of these announcements for raising funds. It's not just, but we're also starting to see like even the ones that like aren't new, like new raises for the funds themselves, like the existing funds are also spending dry powder because we're at the same time we're still seeing raise announcements happening from teams that have been working on these raises for 2, 3, 6 months, whatever. Like there's definitely a lot of capital allocation going on behind the scenes right now, and it really is. I think like a good time. Everybody's kind of saying like, oh, AI is going to take all the developers' jobs. I don't know how you guys feel about that sort of statement, but that does seem to be a pretty common sentiment. I don't think that's actually true, especially in crypto, right? Where it's like, sure, anybody can now make a web app, but that's not the same as building a business. Like that's like being able to put together like a crypto app is not the same as being able to actually create a product, create something somebody wants to use. There really is no better time, I think, than right now to kind of be actually like working on, yes, create your product. Obviously, that's a huge part of it, but build your business around it. And for people that have, it's kind of the time of the idea guy, because there's no excuse now. You have the education, you have the tools to be able to make your thing become reality. And why not go for it?
That's precisely why we built Kickstart as well. So over the past couple of years, we've also built this massive community of the world's smartest people within the EasyA app. And that's been the educational front where people learn about this. Then we have the hackathons where we invite the best of those people to actually come and build their ideas. And we've had incredible startups come out of there, starting with literally just an idea like Cognition AI, which is now going viral again on socials. They're gearing up for a big new fundraise. Their most recently publicly disclosed valuation is $10 billion, started with just an idea.
Wow.
And one of our hackers at one of our hackathons that we hosted at Harvard. So we built then Kickstart because we're at this crazy time right now, like you said, David, where literally a person with just an idea can go ahead and have the biggest impact ever. So the ideas and the people are just like the most important thing. And so Kickstart is our take on what a launchpad should look like for these ideas and for these $1 billion ideas. Like that is exactly what we do. And we're tokenizing those from the smartest people in the world. So that's what we're really excited about. And there's never been a better time for it right now.
Yeah, and I will say as well, AI has really accelerated the development pace at which these people can actually build things. It's not necessarily a matter of taking jobs away. And I think, in the public markets, you see a lot of job cuts. Coinbase, for example, recently, Block, all these different companies, because, I guess AI is a good excuse to lay people off. But really, when you look at it, you see people at our hackathons, for example, people who are launching projects on Kickstart, they can use AI for a lot of different things that would typically take, a week to build. Now they can do it in a day or two. And, amazing websites, amazing demos even that are all done by AI, and really ultimately let them get to where they want to be much faster. So they spend much less time on some of the grunt work, so to speak. So yeah, it's really an amazing technology actually that we've seen really accelerate the pace of development and innovation within our ecosystem, and I'm sure others too.
I'd love to hear more about this Kickstart platform you guys have and how it kind of compares to other launch pads. Like David and I are pretty familiar with MetaDAO, which focuses a lot on like ownership tokens and things like that. Or even Pump Fun is technically a token launch pad. Where do you guys see yourself on the spectrum? How do you guys compare to other launch pads like that?
Great question. Well, the single biggest thing is the fact that we have a pipeline of the world's best founders. Like, nobody compares to the founder pipeline that we have at EasyA, where we've literally had over the past couple of years people who have taken their idea and then turned it into 10 billion something worth $10 billion, 10.2 billion, and going up.
Hard to argue with that.
What was that? Sorry. Yeah, exactly.
I said hard to argue with that. Like
Yeah.
hey, we kind of got the smartest people, and also,
Exactly. And so, look, ultimately, fundamentally, that's number one. But I think to go at it at a more fundamental, deeper level in terms of the story of how the launchpad ecosystem has evolved, look, I think Pump Fun has shown that this is when I look at it, this is more of a technology than I think an application. I think that the launchpad mechanism is a very, very cool technology, and Pump Fun showed that people are dying for this. It's like, they're dying for this. Not literally dying. I think maybe on the live streams some stuff was going near that. But like, they really want access to this technology, and ultimately it played a great role for meme coins, and Pump is definitely the king of meme coins right now. But also people used it then to raise money for charity. They used it to raise money for their projects, and I think people really wanted this venue where they could just tokenize. And I think it became this tokenization venue. I think that as this space evolved more, I think that the people using this technology, right? So the different front ends that we see, like you mentioned, some of the other launch pads out there, ultimately they're using this technology in order to serve a different type of use case or a different type of person. And I think that's the way that we see the space evolving as well. You have Pump Fun, which is the place for meme coins, right? And I think it's done a phenomenal job there. But I think that where Kickstart wants to go is be the place where the world's best ideas actually get tokenized, and also then really become that place for discovery, for backing those ideas as well, in a similar way to how Kickstarter became the place where you can find something that is literally at this stage just an idea and then actually back it as well. So it's very, very exciting. Nothing like it really exists out there today. And we are just super excited. We're very early, but we've already had an immense amount of success. Volumes have really, really gone beyond what we even expected at the beginning. Like in the first couple of weeks, we hit over $5 million in volume, and that's just growing extremely fast. So
wow,
people are clearly excited about it. Founders are excited about it. And yeah, we're very, very, very still early. We still have a lot of room to grow. And there's a lot of things that we're building as part of it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Also, that's a great tagline. Tokenizing the best ideas for the world's smartest people. Come on, man. Like, yeah, that's
true. Really, we need to put that on the website, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, I'm a marketing guy, so I hear that, I'm like, oh man, great stuff. But yeah, we've kind of talked about this a little bit. I think you guys talked about how you worked like with different chains and different foundations and stuff, and you're very selective about how you partner with those, right? Because obviously you don't want to be directing or kind of like misleading people, I suppose, in a way of like, okay, directing their time, effort, and attention into something that you have a reasonable expectation of, probably not going to be worth it. Like, it's not something that I would spend my time on, right? I'm kind of curious how you approach that process, how you kind of handle, choosing who you're going to work with, as far as, from the blockchain perspective, like which sort of places you're want to support builders in being, and what does that decision-making process look like from you guys? Because it obviously has to be like opinionated, right? But without trying to be overly biased or sort of too tunnel visioned, right?
Really good question. And ultimately, it's from the outside, everybody can do good marketing, but it's the founders who drive all of these projects, these blockchains. And we've met pretty much all the founders of every blockchain that we partnered with to really see what is their long-term vision, what is their driver for this. So that goes with that goes for Solana with Toli and Raj. It goes for Ripple. It goes for Stellar. It goes for Polkadot. We know all of the founders of these projects, and we've met with them. We've chatted about their vision for the future of the protocol or the blockchain. And look, I think that ultimately it really boils down to that, where we're really like the only place where we know the story. Like, I don't think many people know the story of how Jed McCaleb originally actually got started with Mt. Gox and then Ripple and then Stellar, and now he's doing space stuff. But we've literally just been there and we've chatted with him and been like, Jed, hey, what originally got you into the space? How did you do it? What are you up to now? And where do you think it's going next? And ultimately, it's that filtration mechanism which Dom and I use to really decide which of these blockchains do we really believe in, and which ones as well are going to be ones that stand the test of time.
On the subject of blockchains, you guys say that when you open up the EasyA app, you can select whichever blockchain you want to learn about first. Which blockchain are you guys seeing most users choose right now?
Yeah, great question. When you go into the app, we refer to it as kind of like Duolingo for blockchain, but our users affably refer to it as like the Tinder for blockchain, because you go and you swipe left and you swipe right until you find the love of your life, and then you finally have a match. Right now, I'd say the hottest girls in the app right now are the XRP Ledger and Solana, and that's been the case for a while now. They've both been growing extremely quickly. We have a lot of people who are excited about what the XRP Ledger is doing. Obviously, a lot of news coming out recently from Ripple about how XRP is their North Star, and obviously there's very, very exciting technology there, and Solana, of course, as well. And we saw actually really interestingly when we have like an early leading indicator of actually where the market's going, because around this would have been sort of turn of the year, sort of just before we had that massive run up in Solana, we saw a big uptick in people learning about it. And that was really, really interesting, because it was like, something's up with Solana. Like, there's a lot of excitement. And that was, I would say, when so we first launched, we launched our first Solana challenge in the EasyA app, tail end of 2022, right at the beginning of 23. So this was right after FTX, right at depths of the bear market for Solana, when it was like touching $7 or something crazy. And then I'd say about, this would have been a year or two on, we saw this massive uptick and people were back, and then Solana came back. And so it really, part of that is like just setting the foundations during the bear market. And the other bit is like, when we see these numbers uptick, we know something's going on, because like developers are excited and they typically know what's up before the rest of the world.
Man, David, I don't know what it is, but we just get so many very niche specific trading signals on the stream. Like for context, we had Ben from CircularFi, who's running like a Solana MEV dashboard, and he told us that the most organic way, or the highest signal way to track organic activity on like a token, is to track how much MEV is being extracted from trades on it, which is very interesting. And now we have another trading indicator, which is developer interest in a blockchain before the token goes up. Interesting. I think we should start a trading podcast, David.
I mean, ultimately, developers are one of the most important things. I mean, it's like, it's often glossed over, but ultimately they can have a huge impact. I mean, they're ultimately creating the applications we know it should, but at a more fundamental tokenomics level, these applications are the ones that are going to be using the token. And often one of the reasons, of course, like this is one of the reasons why DeFi is so important, is because it locks up a huge amount of supply, takes it off the circulating supply.
Yep.
And you mentioned Pump earlier, right? Pump has taken a huge amount of SOL off the market. It's why it's even for people who are haters of Pump fun, it's like hard to argue with the fact that it's actually taken a lot of SOL out of the circulating supply. And same with other DeFi protocols as well. But ultimately, developers do have this outsized role to play, where they actually build these applications that, yes, end users use, but they also take a huge amount of circulating supply off the market.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. Like I'm not a fan of Pump Fun, particularly as far as like, it's not a product that I'm interested in using myself. I think, it's probably not good to encourage people to gamble, but also I don't have a problem with it existing because if they want to, again, this is crypto. It's permissionless, right? Build what you want. Clearly there's a lot of demand, right? And there was kind of a narrative going around for a long time, oh, Pump Fun's dumping so much SOL on the market, which was true. Well, and likely still is. I haven't checked lately, but it's like, but that is all coming from what they earned, and is a small fraction of the amount of like LP that's being locked, like you said. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, if they made and then dumped 1,000 SOL, that means there's 100,000 SOL that got locked up in the LP as a result of the like that allowed them to earn that 1,000 SOL. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, so sure, there's some SOL pressure, but like, how did we get there? Is a pretty good question. I think a lot of people miss.
And to Nate's point as well, I think one of the really interesting things as well, I haven't, looked into this in too much detail, but I remember listening to a podcast where I think there is like some of the highest value to be extracted. Obviously, I guess it's Pump Fun, but like from actual the users who like don't really care that they're, there's this like, all this like insane MEV going on. It's like they just want to get into this meme coin, and so it's actually some of the most like profitable users. It's not like the super informed flow that you get on other venues. So like the Pump Fun users are like some of the most valuable out there. To your point, Nate. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I spent about a decade trading for a living, so trust me, I want the people who are maybe not so informed. That's kind of the whole thing you want to do. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Like we got about 10 minutes left here, but I wanted to kind of circle back a little bit to. Sorry, I know it started with an R. I can't remember the name of the platform right now. Where are my notes? But the new release you guys are talking about for sort of this fundraising mechanism, right? For again, tokenizing the best ideas from the smartest people, right? Is this something that like people can get involved with right now? Is this a sort of like open access, or is this something that like is sort of selective? How do people get involved in stuff like this?
Yeah, great question. It's purely permissionless. So Kickstart is permissionless. We wanted to make it so that literally, like you said, anyone with the best ideas in the world by the best founders can get tokenized. And we recognize that we don't know every single one of the best founders in the world. We have a large portion of them within EasyA, but there are obviously others that we haven't met so far. So it's totally permissionless for anybody. If they've got an idea, they can go to kickstart.easya.io and they can go and tokenize their idea instantly. And they can get market validation for that idea. And it's like this incredible platform that we built. For a lot of founders as well who are already within the ecosystem, they're really excited about launching. And that's where, of course, if we met the founders in person, then they can also get verified on the platform. We're, of course, careful about who we do verify. We want to make sure that, look, they are a real person, real founder.
Not looking for the DPRK guys?
Well, I mean, apparently they are in person as well now. So maybe they're infiltrating deep within Harvard, Stanford, and maybe they are some of the best founders in the world, but using it for a different end.
Well, they're certainly good at something.
And so we have like some of the best founders in the world that we know. We have some amazing people. Like we have another guy who just launched earlier this week, a guy called Alex, who is building a platform called Covenant, and he's got a guaranteed interview for YC. And so he just launched earlier this week. We have another team coming up very soon. Well, I don't want people to front run it, but they're a team from Stanford who are really, really smart, who are launching as well. And so, those are people that we know, but it's like fully permissionless at the end of the day.
As crypto should be. I love that. Absolutely love it. How do you guys think about marketing your app to retail people? Because I mean, being in the crypto trenches, it feels like so many crypto apps struggle with kind of breaking out of the crypto Twitter bubble that we find ourselves in. Are you guys using like Reddit, Facebook? Like how are you reaching just normal retail people to download your app?
Great question. It's pretty much all word of mouth within the EasyA app. So just because we built this, like it's a unique experience. And for anybody who's watching this who hasn't used the EasyA app, download it. You just type in those letters, EASYA, and you'll find it. It's really, really unique. You go in there and just obviously the design is completely different to anything anybody's ever seen, but also you go in and you learn not just docs. Like the single biggest mistake the blockchains made when we were getting started, and to a large extent still do make today, is it starts with the docs and starts with code. And like, I'm a programmer, I'm an engineer. I still don't want to learn about a particular blockchain by going into the code. I want to learn, like, that's why I love the story about Toli just sipping on a beer and then figuring out, okay, I want to, build this thing. It's like that ultimately is what gets people excited. And my first question to Jed, well, one of the first questions that I asked Jed McCaleb about like why he started Ripple was like, how did you get into the space? And ultimately we start with those same questions. It's, what is the story behind this? Where is this going? How big can this get? What is the very human story? And you go into it, for example, our story about the XRP Ledger. It starts with Jed McCaleb's first ever post on Bitcoin Talk, which was, I believe, in about 2011. So like really ancient history stuff. And he literally just made a post. He was like, I've been reading about this Bitcoin stuff and it seems like it's quite wasteful. What if we had a better alternative to Bitcoin? And that's how it started. And like when we go into something which is so human and so based on the actual story, that's ultimately why users come to EasyA and why, like, we don't spend a ton on marketing. We have just been able to grow so organically because people friggin', they love that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. This is just like a random piece of trivia that I'm curious if you guys know, just on this topic. That I don't know. Maybe you include this. Maybe you don't. But I'm curious as to how many people know why lamp ports on Solana are called that. Anybody know? Anybody here know this? This is like my one fun fact of the day. I don't know.
Actually, I don't know that.
They're named after it's a computer scientist named Lamport. I think is Leslie Lamport. I think, yeah, Leslie Lamport, and he was the inventor of latex and did a lot of work on like distributed systems. So it's kind of like a nod to Leslie Lamport. That's why we call him that. So, yeah, just a little fun fact, But like these are the things that, yeah. But I think you're right. Like these are the things that like make blockchain more than just like, oh, you gotta do your permission checks, and do your authority chains when doing like creating PDAs and CPI calls and stuff like that. Like it's more kind of fun to sprinkle some of these like fun little details in. I like that approach a lot.
Exactly. We love the riddles too. Before
we end here, I was actually personally curious about something. You said that one of the most used blockchains on your app is XRP. What if you could name like 1-2 projects, like what are the most interesting things that people are building on XRP? Because I mean, our crypto Twitter bubble, we mainly hear about Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin. Like what's happening on XRP that's super interesting?
Yeah, and that's a great question as well, because I think a lot of crypto Twitter outside of the XRP ecosystem is like, what's going on there? But it ultimately decided to take a very different approach to the current blockchains. Doesn't have any smart contracts. At least not in the way that people think about them. And so the developer surface area is very different. That's because it was built as a blockchain for business. It's the blockchain built for business, and that was a tagline very early on as well. But I think some of the most interesting things are actually the fact that we've got institutions who are now coming on board and looking at actually like integrating XRP, using the XRP Ledger as well. And so Ripple last year made some massive acquisitions. They acquired Hidden Road. And so they are like a huge crypto prime brokerage, and they are using, they're coming onto the XRP Ledger. And so you have like this big institutional drive where I think, more of that is, going to obviously be coming, and they'll be sharing more about that within the next couple of months. But like you've got like these huge like TradFi guys, or like, sort of at the intersection of TradFi and crypto, and they're actually coming on chain, and that's being driven onto the XRP Ledger. You also have like, you have G Treasury, which they acquired as well, which makes it easier for people to actually integrate this into their business as well. And then you have custody. And so I think it's just a very different approach. It's like you have Ripple Labs, which ultimately is not Ripple Foundation. It's Ripple Labs. It's a for-profit. And they've taken a very different approach where they've actually been getting these businesses, acquiring them, and they are building on top of the XRP Ledger and integrating them into institutions. And of course, we have like the other heavyweights who are building. But yeah, it's not the same in that you see like a massive, huge set of grassroots developers who are all building like little applications, and then and then they skyrocket when they gain adoption. It's like more of a at least currently more of a top-down approach, where you have these big institutions and they come and use the XRP Ledger as like the blockchain that builds the business.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's really interesting. I kind of do at some point want to go again, like because I've been building software and stuff for years, and I obviously very involved in Solana, have been for a long time. But XRP was always one of those things to me where I was kind of like, I don't get why this still exists. But at this point, it's like I can't argue with the fact it's definitely Lindy, which means I'm missing something. You know what I mean? Like I can't just stick in that bias and be like, okay, clearly like this is just stupid completely, because if it actually was, it'd be dead. You know what I mean?
And the best place for you to learn about it is in the EasyA app. Honestly, I can say this hands down, it is the best place to get started if you want to learn about the XRP Ledger, like the story and everything. It's like, it is world class.
I'm gonna have to definitely check that
Never
out.
stop learning.
Never stop learning. Can't, man. Especially in crypto, like everything just changes and updates so fast. You walk away for a week and it feels like 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
sure.
It's crazy. That said, we are coming up on time. Thank you guys so much for coming on. This has been an awesome chat. Really enjoyed having you on. Where do we find you? What's the thing you guys you want us to do? Like for the audience, for myself, because I'm gonna go check it out. Because again, I need to figure out what I'm missing about XRPL. So where do we find you? Where do we go? What do we do? Show us, man.
Yeah, 2 places. First of all, for the EasyA app, go download it on the App Store. EASYA will be the top result. And for Kickstart, go follow on X. So that's EasyA, EASYA_Kickstart. So you'll find all of the latest updates on there. And the website for it is kickstart.easya.io.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Dom. Thank you, Philip, for joining us for the Solana circuit. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but we figured it out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for taking the hour to spend with us, and go download the EasyA app if you have not done it yet, and never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
Thank you
Exactly.
very much for hosting. Thanks, Nate. Thanks, David.
Thanks so much, guys. This has been really cool. For the rest of you guys, make sure to tune in for our town hall on Friday. We're going to be doing a lot more content, kind of ramping up over the next couple of weeks to do with some stuff we're going to be talking about a lot more over the next couple of weeks. And I can't say a lot more about that because I have a call discussing when I'm allowed to say what right after this one. So thanks so much, guys. We're going to go ahead and sign off. Appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Peace
Thanks,
out.
everyone. See you soon. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.